She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Word of Mom Radio here on the Word of Mom Media Network. I'm your host, Dori DeCarlo, and you know we are here week after week, show after show, breaking those myths that mompreneurs and businesswomen, especially those of us building our businesses from home, that we're just dabbling in between bake sales and getting our nails done, we're not. We are smart, we are savvy, and we are sharing the wisdom of women in business and in life. And I'm really very excited about bringing today's guest onto the show because I think this is a really cool subject. Andrea McGinty's latest book, Second Acts, Winning Strategies to Dating Over 50, is a hands-on, tech-savvy roadmap for finding love later in life, packed with actionable worksheets, QR-coded video coaching, and practical advice. Second Acts empowers readers to navigate today's dating landscape with confidence. Unlike costly matchmaking services, this $35 guide provides affordable solutions to help readers rediscover connection and joy. Andrea is often called the Godmother of Matchmaking and has facilitated over 33,000 dates and 10,000 plus marriages. Her expertise makes her a trusted voice for second act daters seeking meaningful relationships. Like an NFL coaching tree, more than 40% of today's top 25 matchmakers trace their roots back to Andrea's pioneering techniques. Her influence has shaped the industry, creating a legacy that stands out in the world of matchmaking. And as somebody who later in life, I'm 64, and been divorced since 1994. I love this subject because it is important, especially for women to realize it's never too late. So with all that being said, Andrea, welcome to Word of Mom Radio.
Thanks, Dori. What an introduction. I'm excited to be here.
It's always fun to hear things that you've done. It's like, wow, I did that. Isn't that cool? So I really take us on your journey that led you to doing what you are doing and then writing your newest book.
Okay, so I never had any idea this was going to be my journey. I liked fixing up friends in high school. One actually got married and is still married. Two of my college roommates I fixed up and they're still married. So, I think I just had it in me. But then, I'm an accounting and finance major. Never, ever used it because what ended up happening, I was living in Chicago and I was getting married in early 20s. And 2 days before the wedding, my fiance called it off. And so suddenly, and remember, this is 1990. Like, we have dial-up. There's no Google. There's no online dating. There's like an abyss. There's nothing out there. And, once I got over the tears and got myself back together and friends would fix me up on dates, and I'm pretty tall. And, they'd send me out with these men that were like 6 or 8 inches shorter than me. And I'd be like, oh, I feel like a giraffe. I feel like an elephant, which is, I know, is probably stupid. But, I thought there's got to be a better way. And then I was thinking about executive recruiters and how they work, and I was thinking, wow, I wish there was an executive recruiter that was calling me. And instead of saying, hey, I've got 2 professional opportunities for you, I've got 2 men for you that I think you're really going to like. I would be like, oh, this is awesome. And so that's how I started my first company, which was called It's Just Lunch, and it's still in existence today. And it started with the very simple premise of meeting people. It was matchmaking within a pool of people because, again, no internet, right? There's no Match.com. There's no Google. There's nothing. And so my matchmaking career started in 1991 with It's Just Lunch, founding it. And we'll just fast forward through what happened at It's Just Lunch. But 14 years later, we had 110 locations globally, and we were all over the place. And I really kind of saw what was coming up with online dating and how the world was changing. And it was a little bit ironic at the same time. That week, I got 2 offers, one from a private equity firm to sell the company and the other from Match.com. And I thought, wow, this timing is perfect because I'm thinking online is going to be the hottest way to meet people once it gets out of the chaos that it was in the beginning. And so I sold the company. All right. So I will admit I took a year off and traveled and, had fun, and because I had worked my butt off, for all those years. And so 33,000 dates actually started because that's how many dates at that time I had set up. Now it's probably like, I don't know, 39,000 dates, but I can't keep changing the name. So that would be weird. So anyway, what ended up happening was a year out of It's Just Lunch, I get a call from one of my best friends who had just gotten divorced. He's a guy. And he's like, I'm doing online dating and it's awful. The women are awful. And I'm thinking, wait, he's a good looking guy. He's a CFO of a company. Like, what's he doing wrong? And I'm like, give me your credentials. Let me go in. Let me log in. Let me see what's going on. And I go in and I'm like, oh my God, this guy has the worst pictures posted. How guys do those bathroom selfie photos online or, holding a fish or something. I mean, he was doing everything wrong and his bio was awful. And so I went in, changed everything around. And a couple weeks later, he called it in and goes, Andrea, I'm getting really good dates now. And I'm like, you're supposed to say, thank you, Andrea. I'm getting really good dates now because you changed everything. And that's what started me off on this path with online because I already liked online. And by now it's 2010. And the mess it was all in like the late 90s and the early 2000s, you hear those horror stories about, scammers like the Nigerian prince and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the dating sites were starting to get their act together. And by the time we hit 2020, I mean, there's over 1,400 dating sites out there so in the US, I mean, a ton. And I tend to use the top 25, and they've gotten so good at vetting as far as identity and other factors that you're not getting the scammers on the really good dating sites anymore. And so I think a lot of women are thinking, wow, this is a way to, really meet people. But you said you're 64, right?
Yeah.
So am I. And so, when I was starting It's Just Lunch, it was 20s, 30s. That was the age group I was working with. Then another part of my story is I was married for 24 years. And about 6 years ago, I got divorced. And it was pretty amicable, thank God. But anyway, so me, myself, and I, I'm thinking, am I ready to date? No. My youngest daughter's home here. She's a teenager. I'm like, no way am I bringing, men around. And so anyway, there was one day that I just was ready and she was going off to college. And I thought, this is the right time for myself, to jump in to the dating pool. And I had been living, I think, through, my clients' experiences and, people getting married. And I even went to a couple of the weddings, even though I do this nationally all over the country. Some people get married in California where I was living at the time. Now I'm on the East Coast. And so, I started with online dating and I really, myself jumped in. And my first week, I went on 5 first dates, and that was stupid. Anyone listening, that's really stupid. 5 first dates in your first week because you can't keep anything straight. You can't remember like what you said to somebody or what story you told or, whatever. But what I got out of it, and I do have a lot of confidence, it brought all my confidence back in terms of, oh, wow, I can still date. I'm still interesting. I'm still fun. A couple of them asked me out for second dates. A couple of them turned into third dates. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then on my 6th date, I met my husband. And I got remarried. And I was the one who was saying I would never, ever, ever get married again. And so, when people come to me and they say, I'm too old, I'm 56 or I'm 63, I'm like, no, you're not too old. It's second act. You got married in your 20s, you never thought 30 years later, 40 years later, you'd be like, oh, I have to date again. And then the world's exploded and it's so different than what we had, when we were dating. It was like people from college or, our first job, meeting people that way, or we still thought the bars were fun. And the whole world has changed. And people, like, you have to get over being 60. It's not like when our grandparents were 60, right? It's a huge, huge difference. And it's all about attitude. It's all about attitude. I almost know when I take on new clients whether or not they're going to be successful or not by like the second coaching call, because it's their attitude. If you think you're going to meet somebody and you come into this pretty happily, or a little bit excited, maybe nervous, especially if you were married a long time, or you're widowed maybe, or you got out of a long relationship, you're going to be a little bit nervous too. But if you're a little bit excited and you have a positive attitude, people meet people. Those are the people that meet people. The people that are listening to their single girlfriends, they're not meeting people. They're getting negative energy. You probably have questions, and I've gone on and on.
It's crazy though, because it is, certain people, the way I joke that I'm 17 in my soul, and I really am. So any relationship I've had, and I haven't had a lot of them because I find men very attractive. I'm just rarely attracted to somebody, and I've never had an interest of dating just to date. I'm happy with my own company. I have zero problem doing anything and everything by myself, including traveling the world. I just has never fazed me, but there's something really lovely when you meet somebody and have that great chemistry, and I don't fear it. And I feel like a lot of times that's the big issue. People are so afraid to just open up and let somebody in again, because it's not like when you're 20 and
right.
Life is full of possibilities and everything else. You're at 50, 60 years old. Life has shown you what life can really be. And you sadly, a lot of times, drag that into a budding relationship. And all of a sudden, things that other people did to you, you're taking out on somebody who it's not their fault. They didn't do it. How do you stop that from happening, Andrea?
Well, all of that really just goes back to attitude. I mean, at this point in our life, what's good about it? We're a lot wiser. We know what we want. We know what we don't want, right? Some people call it baggage. I call it like we've got life experience. So we're so much smarter than our 20-year-old self, right? So we can spot things in other people very, very quickly, whether we're online dating or whatever we're doing. We're playing pickleball and you meet somebody, whatever you're doing, however you're meeting people. But we're just so much wiser is the bottom line. And sometimes people come to me and they say, I'm not sure what I want, but I know what I don't want because I had it, in my last marriage or my last relationship or something. So, we can kind of pinpoint those types of things.
I'm going to stop right now. Let's take a break and say thank you to our sponsors, because I want our conversation to just continue on. So we'll be back here in just a moment on Word of Mom Radio. She is brave, she is bold, she is you, and we want to tell your story. Are you ready to share your journey with us on Word of Mom Radio? Go to wordofmomradio.com and register as a guest. We want to tell your story because when you win, we all win.
In 2017, Unsilenced Voices was formed to help survivors of domestic abuse and gender-based violence worldwide. The organization currently serves Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Ghana, and the USA. In 2022, Unsilenced Voices gifted over $33,000 to survivors in the USA, and in Sierra Leone, there are over 26 young girls who have been rescued from sex trafficking and domestic abuse and now going through vocational training school in order to better their lives. We need your help. Donations are critical in order for us to continue our work. We also need volunteers to help with research and development. Please visit unsilencedvoices.org for more information.
And we're back here on Word of Mom Radio. We are talking with Andrea McGinty about her newest book, Second Acts, Winning Strategies to Dating Over 50. Her website, 33,000dates.com. And the difference of dating in your 20s than in your 50s and 60s. And I agree with you. Attitude is everything. It really is. Two of my favorite quotes. The Little Red Engine. I think I can. I think I can. I thought I could. I thought I could. And Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yep.
Two of my favorites. So it really is. Your attitude is everything. So with you, Andrea, and the people that you're working with right now and stuff like that, let's talk about online dating. What works and what should people look out for?
Okay. Well, Pete, what works with online dating? Number one, you have to be ready. So your mindset has to be there. And when I wrote my new book, one thing that I really wanted to do for people that, couldn't maybe afford my coaching or, couldn't reach out to me is have worksheets that people actually take them from like A to Z, from where's my head at to the last worksheet in the book, which is you're writing a personal business plan for your love life, which people are like, what? I'm writing a business plan for my love life? Ew. And I'm like, no, this works. So the first one though, where's your head at? That's the number one thing. It asks 10 questions about what your attitude's like, how you're feeling, and you're going to know by the time you finish this one worksheet in my book. And there's also QR codes, so I'm talking as you're, filling this out and trying to give you some tips on it. But you're going to know whether or not you're ready to date or not. It might be a big no, and you might, say, wake up 6 months later and you are ready. Or it might be a big yes. So you've got to be ready. You've got to just be ready to open yourself up to other people. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is you can't be listening to what other people say or maybe what the media is saying, because the media likes salacious stories. They like, they want to tell you the bad things that happen, with online. And there's so many, good things that happen with online dating. So those friends and those married friends, don't take advice from them. They have no idea what they're talking about. They've been married 20, 30, 40 years. They don't know what it's like to be single at age 58 or 60 and what you're going through. And then the third thing I would say is you've got to make sure, and I talk about this too in the book, you're on the right dating site. Because what I said earlier, over 1,000 dating platforms and sites out there, you get on the wrong one, after a week, you are discouraged and you're like, done. Online dating didn't work for me. I'm done. So you've got, and the right site differs by part of the country too. I have a brand new client. She's from Dallas. And when we first started talking and working together, she was on Coffee Meets Bagel, a dating app. And I'm like, why are you on Coffee Meets Bagel? I was just curious. And she goes, oh, my best friend in New York met her boyfriend. I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because in New York, LA, and Miami, Coffee Meets Bagel is super strong. Dallas, nobody even just heard of it. There's nobody on that site, so you've got to really be careful with what site you're picking. And then the next thing that is a non-negotiable with online, it's visual. Yeah, we've got to have good bios and profiles, yes. But the number one thing is we have to have fantastic photos. And fantastic photos doesn't mean fake photos or super edited or filtered photos, or you're throwing now AI. I see people throwing them into AI when I'm working with clients online. I'm like, oh my gosh, some of these people look like cartoons, by the time they get done with this. So I recommend a lot of times with my clients that they do a 2-hour a photo session with a professional photographer. And there's people that just do these for your dating app, for the dating apps. And so it's not like this LinkedIn photo or this photo of you with like a swirly background behind you, but they're actually, coming out to where you are, and they're, taking a picture of you walking your dog. They're getting a snapshot of you holding a golf club, or you love to cook, you're in the kitchen cooking. You've got to have action shots, and you've got to look good too. And you do want one headshot where you're smiling. You want another shot where you're with friends. So it's saying, oh, I have friends and I'm social. And then you always want to have a full body shot too, so people can see what you look like. And you want to make sure these photos are current within the last year to 18 months. So that's one of the most important things with online dating. It's your photo.
It's amazing. I'm laughing because the handful of dates that, throughout the years, the first thing they always say to me, wow, you look just like your photos, or, oh, you're even prettier than your photos. And I'm looking at somebody who put up a photo that's 15 years old, when they still had hair, when they still had teeth. This was and I never, I truly believe that I can't be the only honest person out there. So you've got to go through the frogs till you find the prince. So how do you help somebody who's been out of the dating scene for decades, Andrea? How do you make them feel empowered to start all over again in a foray that they've never had to deal with?
Right. You know what? The number one thing they need is self-confidence. And like I said earlier, they probably have a lot of self-confidence in their personal life and their professional life, but their dating life, they haven't done it. They're scared. So how do I work with them? So how I start with my clients, it's just with, a Zoom call, getting to know them. But after that, I pretty much do everything, write their profile, make sure they've got the right photographer, we've got great photos, and I populate the dating site. So the dating site's pretty much, it looks fantastic when a man gets on there. And I write for men too. When I'm writing a profile for a woman, it's very bullet pointed and it's short, because men don't read. They just don't read. Bullet point your stuff to like 6 bullet points. Let the photos sell. That you have a dog, that you play golf, that you like to cook, that you like to read, a cute picture of you snuggled up on your sofa reading a book, that's a cute photo too. Okay, so then what happens is we get into it. I choose the site, and when I help them choose the site, it's 50% of my gut from doing this forever. The other 50%, though, is very strategic, how I help them. I use research. So I use 3 top research companies that I pay for the research. And what I'm able to do, they're like Pew and Gallup and those type of research centers. What I'm able to do then is pinpoint their area of the country, look at individual dating sites and see, what's the balance of men to women, women to men. Obviously, we're women. We don't want to be on a site that's 80% women. We want to be on a site that's 70 or 80% male. And there are those sites out there. And then you take into other things like, how financially stable you are and education and all those kind of things. So I'm pinpointing that so that we are on the right site. The next thing is how I help them is with the messaging, because that's one of my favorite things to do, because a lot of people just get online, they've got everything up there, and then they just sit there and they just sit there and they sit there and they just wait. And I'm like, what are you waiting for? You've got to reach out. You've got to reach out, and it doesn't mean a heart or a wink or a smile. It means a message. And not a long message, not a novel about your life. We don't want to hear all about your ex-husband. We don't want to hear that. We just want, you to reach out and say something unique and say something that says you looked at me, you looked at my profile, and like 3 sentences, and, to basically reach out to the person. So when I'm working with clients, we're both on the phone together. So this is really funny. They're brand new. The messaging thing, they want to say things like, hey, how are you? I just got back from Montana. Any vacations planned this year? It's boring. It's vanilla. It's boring. And, I'll write the message and I'll type it in too. And I'll read it to them before I hit send. And they're like, oh, we're sending that to somebody? I'm like, you bet we are. We've got to be a little quirky. And quirky doesn't mean weird. Quirky is just like, standing out from the crowd. And you've got to stand out from the crowd. And women, that are listening to this, I'm sure if you've been online, you get these really stupid messages from men like, hey, beautiful, how are you? Or happy Monday. Generic. You put no thought whatsoever into this. Okay, back to your original question. Now that I've kind of told you what I do, how do I help them? The biggest thing I do after we've gone through that process I just talked about is the first 2 weeks are crucial because I want them to go out on 4 dates, 2 dates each week with different men, because I want them to see that they're going to meet normal people. And all of a sudden, they're not scared that, somebody's going to show up that's totally bizarre, that they can have a nice conversation. Maybe they had chemistry, maybe they didn't. That's okay. They had a fun conversation. I had one woman last week who went out on her 4th first date, and she said, he wasn't really my type. He was a plastic surgeon and he liked to talk. So she said, I just decided to shut up and just listen to him talk. And I asked him about like top skin creams and for wrinkle creams. She goes, I got so much information from me and my friends about, stuff. It was like this free consultation over lunch, So is every date going to be, you're going to fall in love? No, of course not. But 65% of my clients, they end up in long-term relationships. And what does that look like? Anything. It looks like it could be just monogamous relationship. They don't live together. They see each other a couple times a week. They travel together. They do the theater and movies. It could be they live together. It could be they get married. And I see it really. It's almost like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. What people end up doing, because it's not like we're going to have kids right now, right? And a lot of the things that were important to us when we were 25, like some of my Jewish clients, they're hysterical. My Jewish female clients, they're like, hey, I had family pressure to marry a Jewish man when I was 25. Hey, we've got the Jewish kids. We did the bar mitzvahs. We are all set. Give me a waspy guy this time around. They just don't care anymore. They're so much more open because we're not young and we're not getting, that kind of pressure that we did, at a certain age. And, I didn't just want to pick out a Jewish. It could be, a family that's staunchly Christian or Catholic or whatever, and they want you to marry the same faith or the same ethnicity. It so much has changed. So the thing that I do most for my clients is give them self-confidence in dating. And then that's what leads to relationships.
I'm going to say from experience on my end, because I've been trying this on and off for 20 years. I'm going to say 8 guys that I met throughout my online dating experiences. We didn't have that relationship chemistry, but the friendship chemistry that I am still friends with. Well, I traveled to Washington, D.C., and I message one, that I'm coming down and we'll go out to dinner and this and that. So I have made some really good friends because I can't have too many friends. I really can't. And, you meet somebody, you don't know what's going to happen. You got to take it day by day. And especially at this point in my life, I'm happy to just enjoy my life. It's lovely to have somebody with me. And where it's going to go, not a clue. But I'm not 20 where I'm worried, thinking about getting married and having babies and all of that. It's now more about that companionship, friendship, all of the different things that being able to be in a relationship is. And then for some people, they don't need that, so
Yep.
It's the attitude. Attitude is everything. And you know what? If my mama always said it, you know, if you're not your own best friend, you can't be friends with somebody else. If you don't like your own company, who's going to like being around you? So it's that confidence, it's the attitude. So as we wrap this up, Andrea, what do you want to leave our listeners with, and how may they reach out to you?
The best way to reach out to me is on my dating site. And this is what I would say. Okay, it's 33,000dates.com, 33000dates.com. And the best thing to do on my site, you can look around, but this is fun. Take the dating quiz that's on there, because it's going to compare you to 6,500 other of my clients that met with success. And they're fun questions, and you'll get a score back. And I actually score people, and I'll tell you what you're doing right. I'll tell you what you're doing wrong. And I'll be very direct. You know, I'm trying to help you. So that's one way you can get a hold of me. And then you can also, you know, schedule a 15-minute consult with me too, to see, you know, if we fit and if I can help you in terms of, you know, coaching and working one-on-one together. The other thing is, okay, here's my baby, my book, Second Acts, Winning Strategies for Dating Over 50. Okay, so this is what I like about it. There's lots of worksheets in here. So it's not like I wrote the book because I wanted to have a book. I wrote the book because I wanted to help people go through the entire process of dating in our second act. I love that there's worksheets in there, and it's not like a lot of psychobabble. There's 166 strategies in the book on how to meet people, how to date, what to do. And I think it just puts people on the right path. And you can get it pretty much anywhere. The book has been a bestseller this year, which is really exciting. I would buy it on Amazon because they have the best prices. So again, Second Acts, Winning Strategies for Dating by me, Andrea McGinty. That's another way too.
All of Andrea's links are going to be live on wordofmomradio.com. Reach out. If you are re-entering the dating scene and everything, gain that confidence. You can do it. And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. You look great. Just remember that. You look great. You've got so much to give, and let yourself have it. Andrea, thank you so much for taking the time to come and share all this work that you have been doing, really. And I have to tell you, I had heard of It's Just Lunch, because while you were starting that, I was dating somebody who lived in Illinois, and I used to fly back and forth to Illinois every month. It's kind of funny. Yeah.
That is funny.
It is. It is. So, you know what? Kudos to you and all of the people whose lives you have made a difference in. And I appreciate you taking the time to come and share your journey with us here on Word of Mom Radio, Andrea. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. This was so much fun.
I really enjoyed it. And for all of you listening, thanks so much for being here. We're going to close out with our fabulous theme song from Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. So till next time, this is Dori DeCarlo saying go out and create a marvelous you. Bye for now.
She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. Sure of herself, yeah, she takes care of biz. Powerful and strong, yeah, she knows who she is. Has integrity, woman strong and true. You know her by name, see this woman is you. She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. Adds value and hope. Has proved to be brave. See, it's never too late. Never time to behave. Reaching for dreams. Doesn't matter the age. Believes in herself. Unleashed from her cage. She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true.